welcome to another edition of Sideline Sports, joined by Dave Stevens as our special guest tonight. Got Jake Malik and Jon Shearer here. Welcome to the show, Dave. How you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks for being with me. It's great to see you, Jake and JB, and Jon, there you are.
Yeah.
So great to see everybody.
It's nice to see you again. We met you at the Super Bowl. JB
Yeah.
and I did. So
Yep.
it's nice to meet you again.
All right, gentlemen, I said I had something real quick. Actually, it's two things now that I'm thinking about it. First of all, the very first Sideline Sports hat is a thing. These two gentlemen were so mad at me. I've been keeping this a secret for like over a month that I ordered it and I had it custom made. I had to be the first. I'd
like to put you on the punchable face list. I'd like to just for that alone.
But you can't. This is so awesome.
I know it is, but just because you have it before me, I mean,
it had to be a surprise. And then the other thing is, today is actually my dad's birthday. So I made a promise to him this afternoon when I spoke to him that I would shout him out. So, Dad, happy birthday. You are an even older man, and I'm going to continue an old man. Call you an old man because that's my job as your son. But yeah, it was funny.
He literally is your old man.
But Jake, you didn't have a hat made for your dad for his birthday? Come on.
Don't ruin the surprise. Don't ruin the surprise.
JB's hurting, but you know.
But yeah, so that was all I had to do, guys. I just wanted to tell my dad happy birthday because I called him this afternoon. He says, "Can you do me a favor? Can you shout me out on the show and say happy birthday?" And I was almost a little mad at him because he didn't know it, but I was planning on doing this. Like I'd been thinking about this. I was like, yeah, I was going to do it anyway, but you ruined the surprise unintentionally.
Wow.
So to my dad, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
And Dave, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I missed last week's show, but I did see the interview that the guys did with Lee, and it was great, and I loved it. But I noticed something that you have too, and I'm so curious if this is coincidental or if it's intentional. Now, I'm a Star Wars kind of guy, and I'm guessing you must be as well, because you have, as some people like to call him Baby Yoda, but his official name is Grogu, in the back. Lee had one also. Lee had the same thing in his office when you guys interviewed him last week.
Yes,
is there like a connection?
Really?
He did. He had the same exact one. Now
I swear to God, because I watched it. I watched the show back because I missed last week's show.
So, but is the picture of Lee and me on his desk? Like, I think he's got that.
Lee, I'm gonna have to tell Lee about that.
Dave, I swear on my life. So I missed last week's show. I was at a Rangers game, and I watched the episode after. And my first thought was, it's really cool. Like, I love the interview, but I love that he had that little figurine, if you will, on his desk behind him. And then you come on, and the first thing I noticed was that sitting behind you. I was like, okay, this is either a really weird coincidence or there's a cool story behind it. And if it's a cool story, I'd love to know it. If it's coincidence, that's also still really cool.
It's just a weird coincidence. I mean, the child is here, you know. But
I love it. I love it.
I had I'll have to, if you get to leave before I do, I should probably take a peek. He's going to think I copied him, you know.
He copied you. You have the picture of you two, so really you have the leg up on him.
I bought that for my kid at Christmas, so I don't know when Lee got his, but
I had to ask you because I watched it, I saw it, and I thought it was cool, and then I saw you and I was like,
JB, I just want to point out that the Hurricanes just took the lead. There you go.
Very nice.
There you go.
Very nice. So it won't be your team tonight. The Capitals
won't be mine. It'll be another one hurting your bet.
Anyway, now we can go to the actual interview we want to do. I just had to ask that real quick.
Good observation.
And real quick, let me hear. As we're starting this, I actually just pulled up the YouTube on my screen so I can show you that this is a truly weird coincidence. This is last week's video that I was not on. If you look behind Lee, there he is. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but it is clearly the same character.
And look over his
desks.
Look over his shoulder.
He does. It's right here.
Can you put that bigger? Look at the picture behind him.
Yeah.
That's the same.
Wow.
I didn't realize that until you said this.
So
you guys are like the Step Brothers guys.
I love this.
We just become best friends.
Can you ship the character of the picture to our next guest before next Tuesday show?
We're gonna make it a recurring thing now. That picture and Greg will have to be in every single picture for their guests. No
By the way,
what,
JB, I just have to ask how many of the Star Wars you've seen.
I saw the original 3. That's as far as I've gone, and I don't
That's
love
it.
I'm
Star
going to
Wars.
be honest with you. JB has seen the 3 most important ones.
Jeez, get out of here. Get out of
Those
here
are the
with that
most
nonsense.
important. And I'm
Stop.
sorry, Dave. We haven't even started talking
You have to
about
see
you
'em all.
or anything relevant to an interview. But this is what we do. This is just what happens. I mean,
Love it. It's
I
fun.
miss a week, and this is what happens. I come back.
Why
and
should I be surprised that
create
JB
chaos.
hasn't caught up with all of the Star Wars? He's the
John,
one behind.
he's not missing anything, and you know it.
What do you mean he's not missing anything? It's
The
the greatest
last 3 were
franchise ever.
terrible. The last 3 were
You got to
terrible.
see them all. You have to watch them all.
Oh,
It's just the way it
eventually.
works. Nonsense. Continue with the
All right.
show. Teron
Now we can do our
Armstead, the
actual
Dolphins
interview.
signed Teron Armstead. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah,
He's right
I
here.
told you that. Shush.
I'm just saying.
JB, take the floor.
Go on.
So,
You know,
Dave, welcome to the show. This is the craziness I got to deal with on a weekly basis. Sorry in advance. So, tell us, first thing before the show, you were saying you're going to be on The View this Thursday?
Yeah, I'm on the board of Runway of Dreams, which is a nonprofit charity that is getting clothing made for disabled folks to be mainstream. So if you have a kid that is in a wheelchair or missing an arm or a leg, and you want that fashion that is good for your body, Kohl's and Target and more stores are using adaptive clothing that have buttons that have snaps or Velcro or zippers instead of certain things for certain disabilities. Blind people have Braille on their clothing so they can feel what they want to dress. So the owner of that, who I've been working with, Mindy Shire, got asked to be on as a historical women for National Women's Month, and she said, "Would you like to come be a model on the show?" So I get to go be a model on The View. I don't have to say anything about politics or get Whoopi going crazy or anything, but it'll be fun. Just another, one of those crazy things that happens in my life, and I just continue to be amazed that at 56 I get to still have fun, talk to you guys, and try to inspire people and teach people, empathy instead of sympathy.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So, you've played college football. You had pro tryouts for the NFL. You played Major League Baseball. You had Olympic tryout. So, which sport did you enjoy most, and why?
Well, I mean, I had the most success in baseball. I played right field and I played, second base a little bit. And for your listeners or viewers, I didn't have legs. I was born without legs. And that's, mind blowing. If you don't believe it, you can Google me and see it. I'm not making it up. But wrestling was probably my best sport because I had the advantage against you leggies, and you guys didn't know what to do against me. So I'd get out there and wrestle, and it's like, you are used to wrestling against guys with legs and doing takedowns, and you see a guy without legs, and you're like, what the hell do I do here? Which was to my advantage because I knew what to do, and it would invariably end up in, a big mess on the mat. So I think wrestling was probably my best sport because it was one-on-one, and it wasn't anybody, it wasn't a handicap against a handicap. It was just 2 athletes going at it. But football, baseball probably have been the most successful, trying out for the Cowboys and playing in Augsburg. And I got to travel on a team, and we went to Ireland and New Zealand and Australia. I threw a 2-point conversion in one of those games. So like I've been able to do a lot of stuff that you leggies only get to dream about. And I'm like Forrest Gimp. I've been able to do all these crazy things, pinch hit for Darryl Strawberry, those kind of things. And people would be like, that's impossible. That's not, fathomable. And I'm like, anybody can do pretty much anything if you work hard enough and put your mind to it. I'm not going to go, do a high jump at 20 feet in my life, but, there's other things that I can do to, get involved with other sports and show people that there are adaptive ways to play sports and do things and approach things that way in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the first times we got to meet, I met you earlier in the day, Tuesday, Super Bowl week. And then later that night, you were playing in the Snoop Dogg charity football game, which was a phenomenal event, by the way.
Yeah, those are fun. I played in 22 of those, and it's been fun. I've thrown a few touchdown passes. I throw one to Ricky Williams, Jeff Garcia. I've caught a couple, but I tore my rotator, so I kind of make like a token appearance. I don't do too much anymore. I brought another guy, Zion Clark, the fastest man on 2 arms, who came out and played in that game. It was kind of neat to, see the old Batman and the new Batman kind of, hand out there. And you talked about movies. Don't get me started on who's the best Batman, because in my book, Adam West will always be the best Batman. Right?
I had a feeling that was coming.
See, I only bring the best guests on.
We just saw the new movie, and I really wasn't too impressed with it. It's just DC can never outdo Marvel. They just never seem
that is Dave. I knew I liked you for a reason. That is right.
See, only the best guests on our show.
That is absolutely correct. Marvel is always going to be the best.
Get out of here, Jake.
I love that
nonsense.
I love it.
Wonder Woman and Shazam are about the only two where they've kind of gotten it okay.
Yeah.
But they messed up
Shazam
Superman.
was really good.
Yeah, and I'm shocked they haven't come out with a sequel. I digress. So anyway.
Don't worry, we digress all the time. That's what we do. If you couldn't tell, that's what we do.
We never progress. We
have an agenda we set. 9 times out of 10, we miss half of it because we've gone down a rabbit hole with something else. So it's okay. We're very used to this.
Welcome.
Wait, John will start talking. That'll be it. We'll be in trouble. John's taking people out of the Hall of Fame. We got a punchable facelift. It gets scary.
Well, Jake, I mean, it's debatable on whether you're on there or not just because you got a hat before. I mean, you didn't tell me a month in advance. You're out of order. I mean, you really are.
Look, here's what I'm going to tell you, John.
You, sir.
I decided to make this.
I know.
Do not blame anybody else.
I
did this because I wanted it.
I feel like it's
so I made myself a hat.
So wait, John, you're the only one without any Sideline Sports apparel because I got the jacket. Jake has the hat. I have the hat coming now.
I wish I had, but I don't have a lot of money, so I gotta wait until I have money to buy a Sideline Sports merchandise. But it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
Once they have flat bills, I'll get a flat bill Sideline.
You can get a flat bill. I can show you how to make one.
I just need the money.
Yeah. All right, back to the interview, please.
So what was it like working at ESPN? A lot of people, only besides playing all those great sports and being an athlete, you had the opportunity to work, the premier sports station. What was that opportunity like?
It was amazing. After I got done playing football in Minnesota, I worked local TV for a few years and got to be a part of the Twins winning the World Series in 87 and 91. And I started doing interviews and shipping them to ESPN. And they're like, hey, you've got some talent. Would you ever want to come work here? And so I said, absolutely. And I ended up coming here in 95 and spent 20 years at ESPN behind the scenes, working on the assignment desk, but working with every reporter, every insider. One of my good friends just passed away this week, John Clayton. Just a tragic loss. Just a wonderful
loss.
Yeah, sorry.
And, I worked with him for 20 years and just got to be, a part of that mystique when it was in its heyday. Obviously, it's not the same, and it never will be. Sports TV will never be like it was then because it was the only place you could go to. Now you've got, all kinds of networks and programming and great niche, talk shows like Sideline Sports and things like that. So, but it was 20 great years. I've got 7 Emmys that they don't give you as a participation trophy. It didn't say we pity you. It was you worked hard on this, So and still friends with Chris Berman and Bob Lee and those guys like that. I knew I'd finally made it at ESPN when Chris Berman gave me a nickname my second or third week there, and he calls me Cat for Cat Stevens, an old singer from the 70s.
All right, I like it.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he just came to my school a couple of weeks ago to speak to the kids. And hey, Cat, and everybody's like, what's that mean? And it's just the memories I have, the things I've seen. The book I'm not allowed to write as far as what I saw as the end of the debauchery, but you did see it, you were aware of it, and they've done a good job of cleaning it up and making it less of a locker room and more of a great work environment. And so I'm just lucky that I had 20 years. I mean, you don't get 20 years anywhere, let alone at that time a worldwide leader in sports.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, to not only work at the pinnacle of sports TV, but be there for 20 years. That says a lot about how good you must be.
I was gonna say you must have been doing something right.
Yeah.
I just show up to work every day, and if you can enjoy your job, then it really wasn't work. And to be a part of the highs of amazing championships or the lows of a Boston bombing day or 9/11 or any of those things that when our worlds all had to collide as far as the news world. But I don't regret it. And now, with Ability Media at the college, and I also help another channel called the Disability Channel, I'm still doing interviews. I was at Radio Row interviewing, all the biggest stars. I still get to go to games. And now that COVID has eased up, I get to start going back and doing the interviews because the players, they talk to me a little differently because I'm either on the ground on my butt or they're not used to my situation. And I get them to open up and talk about things that most people don't. And I know you guys realize this, that if you do your homework on somebody and figure that obscure statistic or where they went to high school or who they're, figure out that their high school coach was their biggest inspiration. If you take that time to research just a little bit, you can usually, Wikipedia these guys 10 minutes before you have them and find something obscure. Then they realize you took that time to really be invested to care about them and not just how was the game and look away, that kind of stuff. And so if you go to my YouTube, you'll see, me with Gronkowski just having fun, talking about cleaning my butt, getting Tide Pods to get the, my stains out of my butt. Or
I got to tell you, that does not surprise me. That sounds exactly like the conversation you'd expect to have with him. Of all people, that's what you'd expect.
Yeah, and we stayed friends. I just it was probably the most alcohol I've had in 20 years because I got invited to the Gronkowski party at the Super Bowl with his brothers and his dad. And
that was great. Yeah, that was
were
great.
You there for that?
Are you talking about that NFL Legends party where Gronk and his dad were there? Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that was nuts.
JB and I were there.
Oh, they put us in that part with the brothers and the dad, and it was just like your drink would get halfway, and it was like, boom, boom, here's more, and then here's the champagne, and I'm just like, I'm supposed to be a dad and a representative here, and suddenly I'm like, But it's just my approach has been to ambush them in a good way. Like I was with Aaron Rodgers after a Miami, they beat Miami in a game, and it was right before or right after he was about to play Tom Brady, and I'm like, okay, I got to ask you, everybody's talking about the greatest of all time, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? And the look on his face of like, oh, thank God, it's something different than usual. And then it was funny because there's no Dunkin' Donuts around here, and I really like Dunkin', and there's one by the college, but and it just opened up those avenues. So I've lived, I'm 56 years old, and I've lived the most, unbelievable life. And like I said, now I try to give back. I try to show people that I break that stereotype of what you think handicap or disabled or whatever is supposed to be. And if I can help break that stereotype, others might treat others differently and treat them with respect and offer them jobs and open up their minds to anybody who has a value and has a gift.
It's funny that you mentioned that because whenever I used to work in social work with adults that have autism, and I didn't know much about it, and I kind of had my own stereotypes, but after working in that, I kind of was able to understand and learn a lot from them and about people with autism, and just working with people like that and going out in public with people that have a disability, you see how other people view them and how other people stereotype them and how other people look at them and they just judge them right away. And so it's just interesting that you mentioned that because I understand exactly what you're saying when you say that, because taking people out in public and just watching people look at them and immediately stereotype or judge is it's crazy that people don't take the time to get to know you and you know what I mean? It's just crazy how that works.
No, and I'm learning that with the college with Ability Media. We have, able-bodied students and we have some with disabilities, and they're working together. And the able-bodied students, especially the ones that went to the Super Bowl, their eyes and minds have been opened up to both worlds, and them, suddenly they want to come back to Quinnipiac University and call out the college that you don't have this fixed and you don't have that. I'm like, hey, easy, don't you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you here. But and it helps you, John, it's opened up you to a different way to appreciate
Yep.
and see life. And that's all you want to do, is give anybody a shot, to just give everybody a chance. I've always thought, why can't the military use people with disabilities to either build technology or fix airplanes or be a 911 dispatcher or be something other than what you could help the police in a certain role doing something. And you see overweight cops, they're not having to run a 5-minute mile anymore. So it's like, why aren't we thinking about where we can use our brains and put people into programming and education and businesses and things like that? I was just on a call today about, the handicap world is the biggest minority in the world. There are, I think it's 1 billion people with a disability, either seen or unseen. And of that, 60 million are here in the USA. And so there are opportunities to monetize that and open those worlds up to either a brand of clothing or an adaptive type of anything in the business world. And that's why, I'm proud to have done TV for all my life, because most people in the TV world, business, only 3% of anybody that's either portrayed on television or anything to do with a disability in movies is ever portrayed by those with a disability. You always see actors playing those roles. There's very few, and God bless this movie that came out with the deaf actors that's up for Oscars. And I think that's finally going to open some eyes and some ears to giving opportunities to other people, because we've lived in a world, for so many years that, up into the 50s was white dominated, right? And then we've changed to allowing women to have rights. And then in the 80s, 90s, and now we're working towards a diversity for other cultures, yet the handicap get put in the back, and we don't get those opportunities. And, having that voice, I continue to try to be that person, and it gets me on platforms like this to just talk about it. And I'm hoping you guys walk away looking at things a little differently, looking at people a little differently, thinking, wow, oh yeah, I remember Jim Abbott pitched with one hand, and Shaquem Griffin just played in the NFL with one hand. And Tom Dempsey had the longest field goal for the longest time with half of a foot. So there's all these other stories. I'm trying to get the Hall of Fame to put us all in the Baseball Hall of Fame with myself and Jim Abbott and Mordecai Three Finger Brown and Burt Shepard, who pitched on one leg after World War II, Pete Gray, who played in the 40s with one arm. There's all these amazing stories that people don't know about. And to your point, looking at them differently instead of pitying them, giving them that chance to go, hey, they've got a value.
Yep. And the thing is, like, people who look at somebody with a disability, whether you have autism or whether you're missing a limb or whatever, you look at them like they're different, but you're no different than, me. Like, yeah, you have a disability, but that doesn't make you any different. That doesn't make you any less than me. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their different things. Like, that doesn't make you any different. That's how I always see it. That's how I've gone about, getting to just getting to be around people such as yourself. There's a lot that you can learn from somebody, with a disability. Truly a lot.
And it is a label that I don't think us in that world like. It's just that's what they call us. Either handicap is good in golf, but it's bad as a human. If you have a disability, a car is disabled, but a human being isn't. Baseball just got rid of the disabled list. Now it's whatever the list is they call it. But it's like, this is my normal. If you have ADHD, that's your normal. If you have autism, that's your normal.
Yep.
It's just, but you guys, show of hands, how many of you still have your first pair of legs? Let's see, JB, Jake, do you still have your first pair of legs?
If you do.
Okay, see, and I do too, see? So we're not that different. I still have my first set of legs. It's just, I upgraded over the years. But again, if I can break that ice and break that stereotype, it helps you to realize that everybody has that self-worth. It's a great point you said, John.
Yep, of course.
I love that. All right, real quick, I want to ask you on a totally separate note, as much as I love this and I'm not trying to get away from it, I just had a question I've been thinking about.
Segue. Come on, awkward segue, do it.
I know.
Come on.
Someone's got to do it. Someone has to make the awkward segue. I've been thinking about this for so long. You were talking about your time with ESPN and all the things you've done, and my immediate thought was when you said, oh, all these highs that I've experienced. Well, what was your favorite? What was the highest high that you had? It could be anything. I'm just curious what it was.
Oof,
I know. It's always such a hard question.
Man, there's so many. I mean, when you win an Emmy that first time, and even at that point, there was an old soap opera lady that hadn't won a Emmy. Her name was Susan Lucci, and I won an Emmy before Susan Lucci was a joke.
That's awesome.
It's just so many. They all go together. It's just the camaraderie that you would have at Christmas when Chris Berman would come in and hand you $100 bottle of wine as a gift. He didn't have to do that. He's Chris Berman, The commercials were always amazing. I know we got to see John Clayton's commercial showed again because it was one of the best. And, you're literally on the phone talking to somebody trying to book a satellite, and someone is making a noise smashing a laptop. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, Mark McGuire is next to me smashing a laptop. So, I can't pick out just one because it just all goes together. The best memory was just being there. The worst memory was the day they said, we've got to let you and 500 of your closest friends leave. And those people, that have been there for years, and you worry about what their lives are. So many of my comrades are, producing local women's college basketball because they can't get another job in TV because we're so old. It's like we just get put out to pasture. They can hire 3 people for the same salary. And now everybody's expected to do all this other stuff, internet and everything like that. So that's one of, I've never usually put on the spot with questions. That's a first. And I think I have to think about it, but we'd be here for a lot longer if I had to throw out, all of them.
It's funny.
I'd have to say maybe my favorite non-Sports Center but sort of related moment was
hit me with it.
Dan Patrick taking me on stage for Hootie and the Blowfish in their heyday.
Well, that's cool.
Hootie.
On stage.
Wow, I love it.
You got to go on stage with Eric Wilson and the gang. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Eric gets mad when I call him Hootie.
Terrible. I knew that's what you were doing, and I was just gonna let it go. But no, you had to point out that you're making fun of Eric, who's not even here.
That's okay. I would do it if he was here. He's a 6.
I know you would.
So, he deserves it.
Low blow.
He'll find out.
So now with Ability Media, so did you start Ability Media, or how did that come about?
It came about during COVID when I was doing my own little radio internet show, and they saw an interview I did with Jim Abbott, and they said, how can we do this at the college level and get kids and students involved? And so they came after me and said, hey, would you like to, make an impact and be able to share stories about people with disabilities? And so they brought me on, and now I'm getting to put together content and do interviews, and we're doing features, and we do every day we're doing stories and either seeing something that crossed the wires and doing our own version of it, or reaching out to those people and doing another story on them. We had a girl from Ukraine that was disabled that we did a feature on her. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm having the time of my life. 56 years old, running, these college kids are 18, 19, and 20, and some of them think they know a little more than you do, but I'm enjoying
well, I think that's every teenager, right? I don't know. When I was that age, I knew everything.
I take offense to that.
The quality of what these...
Oh, yeah, you're still a teen.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm young.
Jake has a young face.
I'm 21. I am young. I don't have a young face. I am young.
He has a something face. It's not young.
Oh, I'm gonna say things later.
But
I'll save it.
If you guys want to see what we did, just go to abilitymediagroup.com or follow Ability Media Group on social media, and we continue to generate content and do stories and reach out to the newsmakers, and and I get to continue to do sports things to get them involved. So we're already planning for the Super Bowl next year. I took 7 students and 1 professor, and next year it's in my home state of Arizona. So the NFL was gracious to work with us and to let us do it. And we know, I know how to teach them boundaries so they're not wandering and doing silly stuff, and they were all professional. And, just gives us an opportunity again to showcase, and a goal to say, hey, Quinnipiac has started this program. I have a disability. I'd like to get involved because, I can be as cocky and arrogant and fun on camera, but I can't teach confidence. And people with disabilities, as you alluded to, John, they're beat down, they're stared at, they know what they're in for. Yep. And it's tough to teach that confidence. I can't just come out and go, you're missing an arm, and you have to say, I don't care. So, but if I can show them to either emulate me or how I act or how I dress, that's another thing that I've gotten involved with the fashion world of, Untuck It, giving me clothes that look good on a body with no legs, those kind of factors. So, I'm happy, at my age, and I'm going to continue to hopefully, talk to amazing guys like you and tell that story and let people realize that, it's not having legs is not the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody.
It's what you make. It's what you make of it. Honestly, I mean, it's a hard hand to be dealt to start, but like you said, I mean, it's how you make it, what you make of it, and I mean that's really what it ends up coming down to, I believe.
And JB and Jake, if I didn't lose them, I wasn't a veteran. I get that all the time. People say thank you for your service, and I've got to be humble and say no, I didn't, because you don't want to be a jerk. I didn't serve. It's like thank them for taking the time to appreciate that. Yeah. But I don't have that trauma. I know one way. I started crawling, and that's what I've continued to do. And I couldn't even imagine or fathom John losing something and starting life left-handed as a right-handed person or something,
It's okay. I'm left-handed, and I'm in a right-handed dominated world, unfortunately. So
indeed, you are, John.
I'm in the minority.
All right, guys.
Well, we got to put up with.
Do we have anything else we wanted to ask Dave, or are we good? I want to throw it to you guys before I say that.
I mean, I appreciate you taking the time, Dave. You're more than welcome to stick around while we talk some sports.
Of course.
We'd love to have you stay if you want.
Okay.
Before we do that, like, would you want to tell everybody where they can find everything about you? I know it says DaveStevensSpeaks.com, but if there's anywhere else as well, the floor is yours.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. Help build our social media, because I represent so many groups and organizations, in the disabled world, which I hate saying that. Like, if I could get one thing changed in my whole soapbox, I hate the term Special Olympics. I think it's time for a new name change. It was created by an old white woman in the 60s, who came from money, the Kennedys. And it's like, if I'm an athlete or my son's an athlete, I don't want them to be thought of as special. I just want them, so call it the heroic games or the champion games or something, and if I can ever get Tim Shriver's ear, I'd like to, do that. But they can follow Dave Stevens Speaks on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and anything else, YouTube. Like I said, if you want to actually see me in action, just Google Dave Stevens legless football or Dave Stevens no legs, or I'm the only one that'll show up for those crazy searches. But no, I appreciate being able to talk to you guys, and I'll stick around. And I don't know a lot as much anymore, but I can chime in with an opinion every now and then.
Sure.
All right, John knows nothing, and we keep him around. So don't worry.
All right.
Yeah, I'm treated around here.
Now I can comment on this. So Deb, you're talking about the fact that JB's wearing a hockey jersey. It's funny you say that. So we were on meetings together before the show started, and I saw JB was wearing a Blackhawks jersey. Now, initially, I was planning on just wearing a T-shirt or throwing a sweatshirt on, and that was it. But when I saw him wearing this, I said, I got to one-up him, because I guarantee you my jersey is better than yours. I don't know who's on the back of your Blackhawks jersey. By the way, the Blackhawks, disgusting. I'm sorry. Deb, I'm sorry. I know Chicago, I get it. Gross. Not for me. JB, who's on the back of your jersey? Just curious.
Kate.
Good player. I got you beat for a fact, because I got Wayne Gretzky on the back of mine.
Yeah, but listen, as a former
but you weren't
Ranger
even
fan,
born when he played.
So what?
So it doesn't count.
As a former Ranger fan,
hold on.
It doesn't count.
Hold on. How does that not count?
You weren't even
You
alive.
mean to tell me you can't talk about any Orioles that never played before? That played before.
No,
you
I'm
were
just
born?
saying you specifically.
Oh,
your
so it's just me.
I'm just
so it's
saying,
you know what? So it's ageism.
Jake, you're out of our. Thank you, Deb.
No. John is out of
Agree with
order
Deb.
for the ageism against me. That's what this is. This is baloney. This is
Just
baloney.
saying. I
Wow,
prefer
that's 2 votes out of order.
JB's jersey.
Ridiculous.
I will say my
Ridiculous.
jersey looks better.
It really does.
I would argue
Them
that it
Giants
does not.
colors are just.
Oh, all right. We got the best jersey in the house. We have both been beat, and I humbly agree that I've been beat.
No, this is just I didn't plug them, but I should have. I just started working for a company called Pro Stance, which has got these amazing feet plates that help teach baseball to kids. And it was I used them at one of my camps, and it showed when I had kids with severe mental disabilities stepping into the plate and starting to hit. I'm like, I had to get involved with that. So this is my Pro Stance jersey.
Like
it makes
it.
me look like a big fat pumpkin, but I wanted to get into sports mode with you guys. So
Kind of looks like an
See?
old Chicago Bears jersey from
yeah,
the 30s or something.
yeah.
Yes,
I like it.
we had the opportunity to see that Super Bowl week as well. Great product. I love it. You know, I probably would be good using that to learn golf because I'm not good at it. You know, and I know it's good for golf. It's good for baseball. Good for a bunch of sports. So, great product.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
All right, gentlemen, there was lots of sports news to talk about, and I missed last week. So I don't
That's your
even know
fault.
where to start because I feel so lost. We have like 25 minutes, give or take, to talk about basically every piece of news in the last week. I don't know where to start.
Rapid fire.
I
go.
think we should start with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
I want to
Recent.
start with that because I get Atlanta is not going anywhere, and I get it's a dumpster fire. I said that we were on the radio there, so this
This
isn't
is
a new
true.
take.
This is not new. Yeah.
But a third-round pick for Matt Ryan, and then who's gonna play quarterback? Marcus Mariota? Is that what I'm hearing?
Indeed.
I mean, I'm
You know-
glad Mariota's getting a shot, but how is that making your team better?
Look, here's what I will say. Good job, Colts. You did a good thing, boys. You know what? You got rid of Commander Carson, who was not going to do you any good, and you got a guy that can at least win games. Now, I know there are going to be people out there that are going to say, "Oh, well, he choked in the Super Bowl." And to you people, I say, shut your mouth, because if you watch that Super Bowl,
You said
I'm
it.
gonna block James.
No,
Staley
hold on.
for
But
crying
here's the
out
thing: James is making fun of the Falcons, not Matt Ryan. But I knew these kinds of comments and things would happen. So James, I'm not blaming because James is making fun of the Falcons, and he's darn right about it. But Matt Ryan did not blow that Super Bowl. To anybody that says that Matt Ryan blew that Super Bowl, you did not watch it, because if you watched it, I can tell you exactly what happened. Matt Ryan put up 28 points against the Patriots, and then the defense decided, I'm tired, and completely imploded.
To be
Now,
fair, the start of that comeback was Matt Ryan got stripped.
I was going to say, Matt Ryan was not completely...
But they shouldn't have been passing the ball up 28-3 in the third quarter
Run
anyway. You
the
got to
ball.
run the ball.
Matt Ryan is not entirely, without fault because of that. You're right, and I was going to say that far enough. So, John, I agree, but that's not just his fault, because he wasn't making the play calls. It shouldn't have happened. And B, the Falcons defense lost the game at the end of the day. That's simple. Simple as that. So, to anybody that makes those comments, shut your mouth. That's what I say to those people.
I want to throw something out there because it was a bad week to be a bad week to be an Atlanta sports fan. I mean, do you guys remember losing two superstars in 1 week? You're losing Matt Ryan and you lose Freddie Freeman.
I was just going to say
that's two of your stars in one market are gone.
Yeah,
that's a big loss.
Atlanta is hurting.
It's so stupid because apparently Freddie Freeman, and I'm paraphrasing, basically said the Braves didn't reach out to him. Like, they didn't reach out to him about trying to bring him back.
Like,
I think
he said
that. I think he said he talked to the Braves 1 or 2 times in the offseason, and that's it. They didn't do anything to push to get Freddie Freeman back. They didn't seem interested at all. How do you let Freddie Freeman go after he just brought you a world championship? Help bring you that.
That's the one thing I give to the Falcons is
it makes no sense.
Matt Ryan is a different situation. He wasn't a free agent. They also, I think, understand this team is not going anywhere, and they didn't have the ability to truly, give him an extension, do anything like that. I understand that it's not the best thing for the Falcons. I understand that, but
They did what the Lions did for Matt Stafford for Matt Ryan. Tried to give him a chance.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's just
they put him in a good situation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I respect that when teams.
The Falcons did the right thing, and I appreciate that. Then we talk about the Braves, as Dave eloquently brought up. He's right. The Braves, they effed up. Okay, I'm putting it politely. That is, to me, how you let a superstar like that go is beyond me. If you're the Packers, I'm going to use it as a perfect example because I do want to talk about this too. Devontae Adams, right? You tried to bring him back. You offer him the contract. You did everything you could. He just didn't want to stay. You can't make a guy stay. Things happen. That's different. But the Falcons the Braves were just like, well, we could try just about this much. Other than that, it's too much work. Forget about it. And then he walks and he goes to LA, and LA is like, thanks, that was easy. No skin off our back. They paid him. He's happy. Everybody's happy except for the Braves and their fans.
Yeah, listen, I don't get it.
I don't know, but
anyway, stupid.
Back to Matt Ryan.
It's so dumb.
Back to Matt Ryan. I love this trade. If I'm the Colts, I think this is probably their best starting quarterback since Andrew Luck. And I say that they've had a couple in between. They've had Jacoby Brissett. They've had Phillip Rivers. They had most recently Carson Wentz, right? This is, I think, their best. And I say, I think it's their best because I would still say Phillip Rivers was a solid quarterback, but I think this is their best chance at a championship.
But he was at the tail end of his career. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. So Matt Ryan's got a little bit left in the tank for sure. He's on a better team. He's going to have to do less work.
And well, actually, JB, if you look at what the Colts gave up for Carson Wentz originally, and what they gave up for Matt Ryan, and what they traded away Carson Wentz to the Commanders for, they actually got more in return getting Matt Ryan in those picks than they did trading for Carson Wentz and trading for Matt Ryan. They actually got more. You know what I mean? Like they got more stuff than they gave away ultimately. So they won this deal. They got
between everything. Yeah. They ended up on a positive note, got a better quarterback, and basically they gained all around. Yeah. And that's my point. But the way I see it for Matt Ryan and why I love this trade, for me at least, the way I was looking at it is Matt Ryan has to do less than ever, right? He's on a team with a strong defense where he's got a strong defense, and then B, more importantly, on his offense alone, he's got an incredible run game. I mean,
unbelievable running game.
Exactly. And on top of all of that, he's got a great offensive line that's going to give him the protection he needs to be able to make the plays he needs to make when he has to make them. But that's the thing that when I say that, and that's what's important, when he has to make them. He doesn't have to make all the plays. No. He doesn't have to go out.
He finally has a great offensive line too.
That's what I mean. Yeah. He doesn't have to go out and do all the work though, because he's got a strong defense to complement him.
Yep.
He's got a great run game to complement him. He's got able receivers. He's got a good offensive line in front of him, one of the best in football. He's got everything working towards him. For me, I think this is his best chance at championship ever. And I'm saying that including what the Falcons were, when they lost that Super Bowl, I'm saying this is a better opportunity overall because of the scenario. Everything around him is more geared towards a championship. The Colts were a contender with the right quarterback, and now they have a good quarterback and a guy that I think has a chance to lead them. All of a sudden, this is a team that I'm not saying they're going to be the number 2 seed or the number 3 seed. The AFC is loaded, but they are going to make the playoffs, and after they make the playoffs, all bets are off. Anything can happen.
Interesting. I mean, I sent you the thing this morning from ESPN on Get Up. If you look at their top 5 AFC teams, they didn't have the Chiefs in the top 5, nor do they have the Colts. And I think the Colts with Matt Ryan now may be in that top 5. Their list was the Bengals, Bills, Chargers, Browns, and Broncos.
I'm sorry, but I understand why the Browns were put on that list because Deshaun Watson, and I kind of understand it actually.
Right, but
but it's unproven.
Like the Browns, but the Browns are the type of team, much like the Broncos. Until you see it, you really can't.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I agree, but to put them in the top 5 already, that's baloney.
And you leave the Chiefs off that list?
But what I will say is it does prove my point. The AFC is loaded. I mean, it is John. Your Dolphins are near a playoff spot.
We're
And it's
back.
not because
We're back, baby. Back.
You're back.
We're
what
back.
do you have that? Okay,
We're
on.
back.
Hold on.
I'm just
Let me
saying, we're
Do I need
back.
to pull up a
Don't forget this symbol.
John,
I
what
had
do
him
you
muted.
have?
He was so far out of order, I muted him.
Let me just go over what other teams have that you don't and why you are not even close. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, great defense. Stephon Diggs, they speak for themselves. Okay, that's done. We'll skip the rest of the AFC East because I don't think the Patriots are going to make the playoffs at this point based on the way things are going. Forget it.
Not yet. They're not.
Exactly. The Cincinnati Bengals, they just made the Super Bowl. They are getting better. They're building an offensive line. Things are improving in Cincinnati. This is a team that just went to the Super Bowl. Things are actually getting better now. Okay, the Cleveland Browns, okay? This is a team that was decent last year. They were okay. Not a great quarterback situation. If they have Deshaun Watson, assuming he's playing, they are immediately in contention for one of the playoff spots just because Deshaun Watson's on the team. I don't care that he hasn't played in a year. He's Deshaun Watson. I think they're going to be okay. The Baltimore Ravens, they didn't make the playoffs, but why? Lamar Jackson was hurt.
Their whole team was hurt.
Right. But their most important player, Lamar, wasn't playing. So already I've got the Bills, the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens. Okay, move to the AFC South. We got the Titans. We already know what they're about. It's pretty simple. Derrick Henry, absolute monster. Who did they just trade for? They just traded for somebody, didn't they? Or they signed a receiver. I'm blanking on who the Titans just got.
And they got rid of Julio.
No, but Robert Woods.
Robert Woods for a sixth-round pick. That's a steal.
And he's a great receiver, even though he's coming off of injury. Great receiver. Okay, so now we've got Bills, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Titans. We got 5 teams. The Indianapolis Colts, we just talked about. So make that 6. And then that's 6 teams already. There's only 7
you haven't even gotten to the West. And you haven't gotten to the West.
I haven't even gotten to the AFC West, where we have Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes,
Jake,
sir.
While you're still on the East, though, I want to throw out something that it's that elephant in the room they're not talking about. If Deshaun Watson, let's say the least he gets is 6 games, is that Browns team going to be able to finish 3-3 in those 6 games he's not there, or could they be so far out of it no matter when he comes back, they're going to be in contention? Like, that's the thing. This is going to be the most hated team in America for at least one season. This is Michael Vick on steroids because once all the women's groups and everything go crazy, but the league has to do something. And that's why I'm wondering, you've got this great quarterback, but he's going to go through the 3 training camp games. But, if you're 0-6 or 1-5 while he's gone, have you dug too much of a hole by taking
You may have.
It's a good point.
You very well may have. You're right. But here's the thing. So that's a great point. So I don't mean to get off that. It's a very good point. So even if you take them off my list, you still got 5 teams, and then as we were going to say, and that's a very good point that I hadn't thought about. But you're absolutely right. But even if it's 5 teams, even if we eliminate the Browns, because that's a great point, it's very possible. You look at the AFC West, you're going to have at least one playoff team from there because someone's going to win the division. But it is going to be a dogfight. Kansas City Chiefs speak for themselves. The Raiders just added one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in all of football, in Davante Adams. You got Davante Adams and Derek Carr. They were teammates in college. That is going to be an awesome connection that I cannot wait to see. Okay, the Chargers, they basically just bring everybody back and then add to the defense with Khalil Mack. That's a great addition. Mike Williams comes back. Things are looking great in LA.
Jackson.
Yep, things look amazing in LA. Oh, and then what's this? Oh, right, the Denver Broncos. How can we forget about them? Trading for Russell Wilson. So this comment right here is exactly my point. AFC West could send 3 to the postseason. So
see,
John,
the thing you're not talking about is that these teams are going to beat each other up.
But John, you're missing the point. I have named, if we take the Browns out of the equation, right? So that was 5 teams, and then I got to the last division. I'm looking at 9 or 10 teams. If I'm including the Browns, it's 10. Without the Browns, it's 9. That is a minimum 9 teams that are all immediately, in my opinion, and probably most of people's opinions, better than your Dolphins. It's not that the Dolphins aren't good. It's not that the Dolphins don't have a chance to win games. It's because the other teams are so good, it is going to be a dogfight.
On paper.
John.
On paper, you don't know what the Broncos, you don't know what the Browns are going to be.
I don't need to know anything. I can tell you teams that are guaranteed. Chiefs.
You're just counting
Titans,
paper champions.
Bengals,
Is all you're doing.
Buffalo. No, I just named the 4 people that just won their division. There's no reason they're going to play any worse.
I'm just saying, like, these teams, the AFC West is going to beat each other up.
Let me ask you this, John. All right, I exclude the AFC West. I still have a minimum of 5, a maximum of 6 teams that I think are better than the Dolphins. And
with Eric Wilson with the popcorn right at it, so I could hear you.
I know,
guys
but that's a minimum of 5 teams I think are better than the Dolphins and guaranteed to make the playoffs over them. What makes you think the Dolphins?
Well, of course, division winners are going to make the playoffs.
Okay, that's 4.
They can't help that.
But my point is, John, you have 4. I'm telling you, 2 teams out of the AFC North are almost guaranteed. 2 teams out of the AFC South are almost guaranteed, and 2 teams out of the AFC West are also almost guaranteed.
Don't guarantee the AFC South because we thought the Colts were going to make it this year.
I said
and they
almost,
fell against
almost.
Jacksonville, so there's no guarantee
almost.
in that division.
I did not say they are. I said almost guaranteed for all of them. So my point is to you,
I think it's going to be 3 out of the West, 2 out of the
North. It could be.
And I think that something we have to take into consideration is what divisions these teams play when they play the NFC.
Entire point here.
Well, I'm saying who plays the NFC West. You know what I mean? Like this year, who plays the NFC? That matters.
What makes the Dolphins worthy of a playoff spot that you're going to argue for this? Because it's and this is nothing about any of the Dolphins have.
What have they done to improve their team?
They literally just improved their offensive line significantly. And the run game?
You added one guy. What do you mean?
Guy. They added Connor Williams from the Cowboys, who's the 11th best guard in football. And they got Teron Armstead. Great. So that's 2. That's 2 big linemen right there. They got their running backs.
What makes you better is what I'm failing to understand, because the Bengals, who just made the Super Bowl, just added 3 offensive linemen. Joe Burrow is going to light up the league now. He's going to have more time than ever.
He will.
What do you have over all these teams? What is it?
I think what Mike McDaniel is going to do is much like what he did with the Niners last year. I think he's going to do the same exact thing.
He's going to make me not want to watch football? Nice.
The Niners went to the NFC Championship.
They certainly were not exciting.
So that's because you bet on them, I'm sure, and you lost bets.
So, John,
that has a lot to do with it.
You're telling me the Eagles are
yeah.
You're going to tell me the Dolphins are going to be 10-7. Congrats. 10-7. 10-7 in the West is not going to be enough. 10-7 is going to barely.
The Niners were old school football, and I don't mind.
Hold on. You're saying that McDaniel's going to do what he did with the Niners to you guys. 10-7 is what your record sits at then.
I'm saying
based on that. And I would like to point out real quick. Last year, there were 1, 2, 3 teams to make the playoffs at 10-7.
Yep.
And 2 of which have improved this offseason in the Bengals and the Raiders. And that's automatically got to be cause for concern. You are not better than either of those teams. You're just not.
I mean, that's your opinion. I think we're better
than the Raiders. That's a fact, John. They've made the playoffs and improved their team. How are you arguing this?
It's not necessarily a guarantee. I mean, did you mention, Jake, about who did the Raiders lose this offseason? Their best player that they lost?
I have no idea who.
Okay. All right. So you're going to come in here.
Because I think their best player is Devontae Adams.
Bring just Jake and me on screen for a moment, because I'm about to torch him. So bring just Jake and me.
Because what your opinion versus my opinion is, the Raiders' best players
just bring us 2 on so I can light him up on fire, and then we can continue this madness.
I will remove Dave and JB for a second.
All right.
Yes, sir.
They lost basically an all-pro cornerback, did not replace him, and you're telling me the Raiders got better. I don't care if they added Devontae Adams. If you can't play defense in the AFC West and in the AFC, you got nothing. You lose an all-pro corner in Casey Hayward, and you replace him with absolutely nothing. I don't care if you get Chandler Jones. If you can't play defensive back, if you got nothing covering back there, it don't matter who's on your defensive line. You got nothing on defense. And if you can't play defense, your team's got nothing. You're not the Chiefs. Only the Chiefs can pull that nonsense up. So if you're going to tell me that because they got Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones,
let me ask you this, John. How many interceptions did Casey Hayward have last season? Do you know by chance?
It's not about that.
I'm just curious.
It's about locking down. It's about locking down the opposition.
I'm just asking a question, John. Just
It's
curious.
about locking down guys like Tyreek Hill.
John, I'm just asking a question out of curiosity.
I don't care. I don't know how many
he had
picks
one.
he had.
He had
But-
one.
But his season was an all-pro type
John,
of season.
John, no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
John, do you know how many passes defended he had?
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? That's what he does.
I watched this guy play. This guy was amazing for
God.
the Raiders, and they
John,
replaced him with nothing.
He had 9 passes defended. That's it.
Okay. But it's about locking down your guy.
But that's part of locking down your guy.
And they lost him, and they got nothing back. They got nothing
John.
back. So they have nothing on the back end to cover. And you know football, Jake. So you know if you can't cover anything on the back end, it don't matter what your defensive line is. Get out of here.
Oh, God, John.
We're almost done.
John, you've missed all the important statistics. Also, he's 32 years old, John.
But they have nothing else.
John,
They have nothing else at corner.
they still got better.
How?
You add Devontae Adams. How do you not get better? How do you not
Because
improve?
you can't play defense.
John.
I will say this has been very entertaining,
Shit.
but
So hold on.
let-
You're going to tell me that you lose a 32-year-old on defense who did not have as great of a season as you seem to think he had, and you add one of the best receivers, if not the best in all of football,
So
and you're saying they didn't improve?
that gives you an opportunity to cover Tyreek Hill, gives you an opportunity to cover Travis Kelce. Now you
John,
don't have that.
Think about this for a second. How do those teams defend Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller? How about that? Did you think about that?
Defense
that's
is
my
more
thought.
important.
Silence. I
Defense
hear
is more
crickets.
important. Look at the Chiefs in the playoffs. You got to have a defense, man. You got to have a defense, and they don't have a
I'm
defense.
not
Raiders
worried
don't have
about
one.
what they're making in the play. I'm talking about just getting to the playoffs. That was the whole point of this.
They're not going to get
my
there.
point is this.
Dave's
With that,
yawning.
they improved. They are going to the playoffs. Your Miami Dolphins are coming nowhere near the playoffs, John.
Okay.
You are
All right,
going to be
we'll
sitting
see.
back at home like my Giants. And I'm saying that because I love my team, but boy, do they stink. And I know they do. You are coming nowhere near
we're
the
not going to
playoffs.
talk about the badness known as the New Jersey Giants because they're horrible. We're not even home New York anymore. I'm giving them away.
JB or Dave, if you'd like to chime in on this, please do, because
It's over.
I am
Done.
heated,
Made
as you
my
can
point.
tell.
There
This
is no talking. There's no talking with absurdity here.
Anything to do with a racist organization like the Miami Dolphins who fired?
Ooh,
I'm just joking.
I like it. No, Dave, I like it.
Whoa.
Taking shots at
No, no.
Sponsored by Canada
Dave,
Dry.
I applaud
No, I
you,
just-
sir.
I
That
just
is how we do it here.
no. He was a buddy of mine. I was just it's interesting to see the passion in John's voice, but the reality is it's going to be a tough division. But you're one injury of any of those star quarterbacks going down where the Dolphins could slide in. So if, you never know, something happens in Buffalo, New England. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. You guys probably play Cleveland early too. So if you beat Cleveland early,
John is just transitioning to hockey now.
I know I'm not transitioning to hockey. I'm making sure
And
JB's
I-
bets are covered. JB has money on the line. I'm making sure JB's bets are covered. I know that's what he's thinking. Please go on, David. I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
is this sponsored by FanDuel or Caesars or?
It's not. It's sponsored by JB's wallet.
No, I love hearing the banter because that's what makes it so exciting. But what you guys should do is make sure you record this and then play this in November, and then
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
you guys have some sort of bet that somebody has to do something weird in a
keep
jersey
receipts.
or show
Oh,
up somewhere
I like this.
embarrassing, or put the money where your teams are. So the over
Yeah.
under Jake
Put your money where your mouth is, John.
It's
What do
funny
you got?
because
I'll
this
take
isn't
a
even
bet with
Jake's
you.
team.
9 wins. Who will get 9 wins? The Giants or the Dolphins?
Oh, we have no
Dolphins are more
shot.
likely to get 9 wins all day, and I know that. I won't even begin to argue that they are more likely. The Giants are a complete dumpster fire, and I know it. I will
Yes, they
sit
are.
here all day, and no matter how much I disagree with anything John said, that is no chance for the Giants. The Dolphins at
Oh,
least have a
oh.
chance.
Try being a
Yeah.
Vikings fan. I'm a lifelong Vikings fan.
Vikings
so
fan.
I
Did you recently? You spoke to Will, didn't you? Will Stein.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a Vikings
Yeah.
fan too. I thought I saw that interview.
Yeah, he's a good
our
dude.
guy.
but
Yes, Will is a great guy.
It's
Yeah.
tremendous man. I love
All right,
him.
guys. I wish we could continue to talk more because this has been extremely fun. However, sadly, we are out of time, and I think that means we need to wrap things up. So I'll leave it up to you guys to to say where they can find you, all that important information. You guys know what I'm talking about.
All right. So JB_the program on Twitter, all over Sideline Sports. I'll leave it at that so we can move it along. John?
Yeah, you got Basket Bros Sunday night. You got Sports Arena Monday night, NBA Carousel Monday night, Tuesday nights. You got Sideline Sports Wednesday nights. You got Sports Arena. Then you got Play Callers on Friday. You got the Gauntlet on Saturday. I mean, we just got shows every single day of the week on Sideline Sports Network. And then we have amazing guests like Dave Stevens. I mean, where else are you going to find this type of content? I'm just saying.
Nowhere.
You're right. All right, you guys, most importantly, where you guys can find Sideline Sports, as you see across the bottom of the screen. I say this every week, but it's super important. Instagram is Twitter. Just look up Sideline Sport 1, YouTube, Facebook, all the other social medias. Just look up Sideline Sports. We're on DBNA Television, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I think I hit everything. We're everywhere. Point is,
Dave?
we're literally everywhere.
Dave, we like our steaks well done around here. And
John!
just let you know.
Dave, I'm so sorry.
Do I get a Sideline Sports hat? All guests appearing on Sideline Sports get a watch or a hat or something.
Dave, I will personally ship this hat just for you.
I got to get back to reenacting Lee Steinberg's death.
Dave will be shipping that to our guests for next week. And where can they find you, Dave, one more time?
Yes, please.
Dave Stevens Speaks. Just Google me or look for a legless athlete or something. I'm out there.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, have a good one. Dave, thank you so much again. And John, your Miami Dolphins are nowhere near the playoffs, and I want you to know that, and I'm getting the last word this week.